So in this particular video, I will discuss how to connect the Java application to the DBMS. So overview will give what is JDBC, what is a driver, what is the API, how to connect to the database, how to execute the queries and retrieve the results here. So what is a JDBC? So JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. So it provides a standard library for a Java program to connect to a database and send it to the send the commands using the SQL. So it generalizes the common database access function into a set of common classes and methods. Abstract the vendor specific details into a code library, making the connectivity to multiple databases transparent to the user here. So JDBC API standardizes the way to establish the connection to the databases, approach to the initiating queries here, method to create the stored procedures, and data structure of the query results. So we can see that it makes use of java.sql package here. Okay, so this is the package that it is being used, java.sql, and java.sql contains all the core classes required for accessing the database. So contains the optional features in JDBC 2.0 API here. So it adds functionality for enterprise applications, for data sources, for GNDI, connection pooling, row sets, and distributed transaction. So what is the JDBC architecture? So here it has a JDBC API, which is purely Java based, and a driver manager. So that has a specific drivers here. This JDBC driver manager has a specific driver. So that performs the conversion. Okay, for it is going to convert it to the respective vendor specific API here, because what we want is like the API should be converted to the respective query and the query should be executed in the database here. So translation to the vendor specific format occurs on the client here. Okay. So no changes needed on the server. So driver needed on the client. So this JDBC uses the driver to translate the generalized JDBC calls into the vendor specific database calls. So it makes use of a JDBC driver. So ODBC is used by Microsoft. Okay. So this is also one of the connectivity that is used to connect C++ programs and to access the database. So goal of ODBC is to make it possible to access any data from any application regarding of which database management system is handling the data. ODBC manages this by inserting a middle layer called database driver. So this is the driver here, which is having a driver which is going to convert it to the specific or native code. Okay, so where the query is going to be converted into a command here. The purpose of this layer is to translate the queries into commands that the DBMS understands. So for this to work, both the applications and DBMS must be a ODBC compliant. That is, the application must be capable of issuing the ODBC commands and the DBMS must be capable of responding them. So coming to connecting to the database. So here we have a driver manager which loads the database driver and manages the connection. So loading the drivers is done by the driver manager, and driver translate the API calls into the operation for a specific database. So driver is going to translate the API calls into the operations. So it is translation is done, okay, from the API calls into the operation for specific DB. So connection is nothing but the session between the application and the data source. So this is the connection between the application and the data source here. The statement is a SQL statement to perform the query or update. So you want to have some query and update operation, then you need to have this statement. When the statement is executed, it is going to send to the driver, and the driver is going to connect to the database and execute this, and the result is going to be in the result set. So logical set of columns and rows of the data returned by executing the statement here. So coming to important step here. So import the necessary classes. The first step, load the JDBC driver. The second step, identify the data source, establish the connection, create a statement object, execute the query using the statement object, retrieve the data from the returned result set object, close the result set and statement and connection object in the order. So we have I'm in Eclipse now. We'll try to execute this in Eclipse. First we try to create the database. Okay, try to create the database. So already the database created. So these are the set of the records that we are having. Okay. So when I make use of this query, it is going to retrieve the records here. Okay. These are the set of the records. So I'll go to the Eclipse now. So it is already, the program is already existing. So I will import these packages. Okay, SQL.connection and import SQL.driver manager, SQL.result set, SQL.statement. So here the connection statement is set to null, and statement object is also set to null, and class.onName. So loading the driver. The first step is like loading the driver. This is the driver that needs to be loaded, and we need to give the URL. Okay, so this is the name of the database. Okay, this is the name of the database. So, and this is the username, postgres, and the password. Okay, whatever you are given at the time of creation of the postgres, that is I'm doing here. Set auto commit to false. After that, we need to create the statement object. Okay, the statement object is created. So after this, we need to execute the query. After creating the statement object, we need to execute the query. And in the loop, I am trying to retrieve these records. Okay, these records that are there in the database, SID, name, and the age. So these are the records that I am going to retrieve. Okay, so they are stored in the ID, name, and the age. So till all the records are existing, I'm trying to retrieve all the records. Till it is getting completed, it will come out of the loop. Okay, so I'm going to display the ID, name, and the age here. So rs.close, it is going to close the connection, and the statement.close, it is going to close the statement here, and connection, we need to close the connection, and after this we try to exit this. Okay. So one more thing, that we need to have a jar file over here. We need to add the jar file. So I'll go to the properties, and we'll go to the Java build path. In the class path, I will go and add the external file here. So this is the file that I need to add. So Postgres SQL 42.7.4. This can be downloaded over the internet. If you search for the Postgres SQL driver for JDBC, so you'll get this particular file. So we need to add this particular file in your class path. So I've already added this particular file here. Okay, I just say apply and close. So now I'll just go and right click over here, and I'll say run the Java application. So the Java application is executed now. I'll be able to get the records. So these are the records that I have retrieved. Okay. So this is the program that is used to retrieve the set of records here. And the program will illustrate how to connect the Java application to the database. So I will discuss some more concepts in the next video.